Welcome to the Cult Classic Horror Show. Every week, you can have the conversations you've always wanted to have about the films you love.
Shut up!
We're gonna get you. Not another peep. Kinda
Get rid of your distractions and prepare yourself.
Then lock your door. 5, 6, crucifix.
You got a big surprise coming to you. You're not going anywhere.
Welcome, everyone. Here we are with Cult Classic Horror Show. Back with you again. I'm Danny Bonin.
Guys, Scotty Bonin here again, too. Welcome.
And we're, so we should start this off with an announcement real quick. The announcement, I was just about to say, we're wrapping up everything Friday the 13th because it's the last episode of the month. But because we've had a few requests from you guys, and the word on the internet is that you want us to finish Friday the 13th. So
many movies.
Yeah, so we're going to do it. We're going to extend Friday the 13th into, what is it, April by one episode so we can cover. So today we're going to cover Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X.
Yes.
And then next week we'll finish off with Freddy versus Jason and also the 2009 Friday the 13th.
That's a lot of Friday the 13th.
I know, there's so many of them. Your wish
has been granted, fans.
So what we might end up doing from now on is just maybe we won't stick to a strict monthly thing.
Yeah.
It might just be like, this is our next subject and phase. And until we've covered the sufficient amount of movies, then we'll move on. If it's less than a month, that's fine. If it's more than a month, that's fine. But we'll just have our phases of movies that we follow. Yeah. So we'll talk to Trevor about that.
Exactly. We'll talk to you. And if we don't cover all the movies, but we cover most of them. Like we're covering all of the Friday the 13th, which is great. But like we didn't necessarily cover all the Freddy movies. But I mean, Freddy vs. Jason, which of course we'll
that's the only one we didn't cover.
That's the only one we didn't cover.
So we're going to.
So
it's going to get covered anyways.
We're even granting the wishes of the Freddy fans that we didn't cover Freddy vs. Jason for you guys, but we will be doing that next week.
Those of you watching on Periscope and the replay on YouTube will notice that I have no hair or beard anymore right now.
He trimmed it all off.
Son of a bitch. I'm filming something tomorrow. So if you guys don't know this, Scotty and I are also actors.
Yes, we are.
So I'm filming something tomorrow that pays pretty well, and they wanted me to shave my head and shave my beard.
Got to do what the film guys want you to do.
Did it. So
he's looking a little more handsomer. He's looking like me more now.
Yeah.
With I'm like completely bald. He has like a number 2.
Yeah, got that going on. So I did just mention that. Follow us on Periscope and also check out the replays once the episode releases. Usually within the next day or two, we'll have it up on YouTube where you can actually watch the video of the episode in case you want to look at our pretty faces.
Yes.
Right over there is our YouTube camera.
Hello.
Right over there is our Periscope camera.
Hello. Oh, yeah, baby.
Broadcasting on all fronts here.
Yes, all fronts.
So, I shaved my head myself this morning. And, there's a massive pile of hair on the ground.
I need to shave your neck up, trim your neck up.
I know, the neck hairs. I didn't get the neck hairs.
Looking a little scruffy.
I'll have my wife do it tonight.
Or I can just do it for you.
She's the neck hair bitch. No, I don't want you. I don't want you behind me.
Yeah, I better not. Might take advantage of them. I know
your tendencies.
Might take advantage of you. You're very,
Especially with a razor. I don't know. So, no thank you.
Okay, I'll let you go this time. Anyways, though.
All right, well, jumping in. So we have Jason Goes to Hell.
This is part 9.
Yeah, part 9. Although they couldn't call it Friday the 13th Part 9 because whether you know it or not, this is the point where Paramount let go of the Jason films, the Friday the 13th films, and the Cunningham took it over. Sean S. Cunningham, who had produced the first one. Now it was back in the mix, and then New Line Cinema backed him on it. So
no more Paramount in this one.
We talked about in the beginning how we had Paramount versus New Line with Freddy versus Jason, or Jason versus Freddy, respectively. But yeah, now that Paramount thought that they used up all the Jason and Friday the 13th they could, it got passed on the New Line, and obviously Bob Shea was like, I'm not done with this.
Yes. So and of course we know he wasn't.
So they took it over, and they had the rights to Jason Voorhees, but not the rights to Friday the 13th. So that's why it's not called Friday the 13th Part 9. It's just called Jason Goes to Hell Final Friday.
Yeah. And this was obviously, it wasn't the final Friday because we have Jason X after this. And this was 4 years after Jason Takes Manhattan from 89 to 93. So 4 years has passed with Jason being under the grave or, being dead, and now he's resurrected again.
Yeah, which they didn't really,
in this movie.
They didn't really,
yeah.
Well, they killed him in the beginning, obviously. They just blew him to shit. And, being a fan, that is a little upsetting. Because you're like, well, what the fuck? Where's Jason? What's going to happen?
Yeah, it did piss me off. And, of course, it didn't trace back from the last movie. It just started, anew. Because we saw in Jason Takes Manhattan with him dying in the sewer with the little kid coming out of him. And
I don't know
that.
What the fuck happened there. Like, what happened?
Little Jason,
did the little kid die, or did we already talked about that last time about toxic baths being good for you all of a sudden? But
yeah,
I don't know. But so then, now we get this Jason back they talked about how the mask is sinking into his face, or his face is growing over the mask because he's had the mask on for so long. It's just, and I like the makeup effect was cool. It was almost like a fat girl in a bikini. Yeah. It's coming over the mask,
over the straps, over the straps, and over the
bikini,
end.
Like a girl with a hungry butt. When you see a girl walking down the beach, eating up her underwear,
it eats up her underwear. That's how it was.
Hungry butt, but it was Jason's face.
Yeah, he's had the mask on for so long that his skin has grown over the mask and the straps that hold it on. It's like an Elephant Man kind of.
Yeah, that's what they said, actually. Yeah. They wanted to make it like Elephant Man.
I thought it was pretty badass.
Yeah. So Kane Hodder said how that was some of the hardest makeup to date. It was the hardest makeup to date they had worked with, just because how heavy it was. And how before he could take off the mask in between shots to catch his breath. And this time he couldn't. Obviously, because the skin was growing over it.
Masks on the whole time.
So yeah, he just... That would have been tough for him.
Oh yeah,
I can't fucking stand wearing a mask.
Can't breathe, and that would, and with all that casts and silicone, whatever, over your head at the same time.
I can't. I don't know about you guys listening, but when Halloween comes around, I can't fucking wear a mask. I have to find a costume where I don't wear a mask because it's the most annoying thing ever. You're just breathing all over your own face, and it gets all wet inside.
Yeah. Oh, that's the worst. Of course, this year we did the Batman theme. And you wore a half mask.
I did. I wore a Batman top.
But it was a half mask, so it didn't go over your nose and mouth. It was just your face.
If it doesn't go over the mouth, then I'm all right with that.
Yeah.
And it covered my ears, though. I couldn't hear shit.
Yeah.
I don't know how... Side note, I don't know how Batman hears anything. I don't know how Batman hears anything at all. He has no ear holes in his mask.
Those pointy things up above his mask aren't his real ears.
Those aren't ears. How the fuck does he hear?
Yeah, I wear the Bane mask, which kind of, I had cut a hole in it, and it still didn't do the job. It was all sweaty and wet, but yeah, that didn't turn out.
You know that anyone that wears a mask on Halloween fucking has it off for 80% of the party.
Yeah.
Anyways, you go to a party, someone's like, "Oh, look what I am! And I'm in a mask," and then 10 minutes later, they just take it off. They don't even have it on the whole night.
Yep. Or they have it resting on top of their head.
Yeah.
Oh, here, I'll pull it down.
Oh yeah, see what I am? All right, fuck that. I'm not getting all sweaty. So
that's pretty much what I did too. Yeah.
So that's what Kane Hodder felt like after shooting his scenes, but he could not take his mask off.
Kane Hodder's back for the third one. Third Jason straight.
It was the hardest makeup job, but he was in the least. Obviously, he was just in it at the beginning and the end.
And what do you think of the whole body swapping, hopping from one person to the next?
Before
in this movie,
we're about to jump into this movie even more. But yeah, I guess before we do that, I just want to say that, I wasn't a big fan. Once I saw Jason X, I was a big fan because Jason X was fucking horrible.
Oh, I did not. Oh.
But Jason Goes to Hell, I mean, Rob called it when he was on the show with us, you know, he hates it. And, you know, it wasn't my favorite, but there were some moments that saved it.
Yeah.
There were some death scene moments. There were some pretty cool effects that I think saved the movie from being just absolute garbage.
Yeah, the gruesomeness and bloody gag scenes did save this movie, and which, you know, overall was better than Jason X in my opinion, but not up there with the ones before. I mean, probably better than Jason Takes Manhattan.
It was like a good standalone slasher.
Yeah,
excuse me.
It was different. Yeah,
but as far as inserting it into the Jason series, the Friday the 13th series, I don't know. And they admitted that. I mean, who was it? It was Adam Marcus. Adam Marcus was the director. He admitted that they were taking it in a different direction. I mean, you have to put yourself back to where they were. There had already been 8 Jason movies.
Friday the 13th.
What the fuck are you supposed to do? You're expected to put out a movie that piques the fan interest again, gets them to come see it. And I don't know. I guess maybe at the time, if they would have put out something just in the same vein, it probably would have done that because people were just looking for that. But they wanted to bring people in, to surprise them, to make it feel different, and that's what they did. So I guess they were successful at what they were aiming at doing. But overall, when you look back at it as part of the series, I don't know. It just doesn't fit. Yeah,
it's I mean, because you don't see him. Jason, the character Jason, in it at all, ever. Well, I mean, in the very beginning and then at the very end. But for the fans, the whole thrill is you see Jason killing people and his face, but you see Jason's, I guess, spirit or, you know, whatever that transfers from his heart into his evilness is transferring through bodies, and
I didn't like that. See, I didn't like that part about it. I like the image of Jason as a stone cold badass motherfucker. Like he has the wallet, you know. He's a stone cold killer, and that's him. Like in that body, like that's Jason. He doesn't fucking float around.
Yeah, and the bodies that get weak and has to hop to the other body because the other body gets weak.
I mean, the part of Jason's the part of him being a badass is he's a almost real person. I mean, I know he keeps coming back to life because he keeps getting electrocuted and shit, but that's his body. That's Jason. That's him. He's not as badass if he's just this entity that flows from body to body. Then he's not this indestructible human, you know. I just love the Jason body, the Jason walking around and bashing people's heads in and breaking through doors and shit.
Yeah, I do too.
So when he takes the form, when he jumps inside of other stupid looking bodies, and I don't know, it it didn't do it for me.
And it's a unique idea and cool idea for it, and it was entertaining. I mean, I was entertained, you know, him taking the bite out of the heart, and then the big black licorice coming out of his mouth into other people's mouths, or what do you want? I want to call it like a snake. What's that movie with where the snake goes up the toilet in like the guy's ass? I forgot. It's called like what's the thing you hang on your bed to put away dreams, to keep away dreams?
Dreamcatcher.
Dreamcatcher. Yeah. So it reminded me.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It kind of reminded me of that movie, just of the thing coming out of his mouth. So, I mean, but you said it. The effects saved it, and the gruesomeness.
I mean, the whole mythology behind this movie, I didn't like that either. The whole he was born from a Voorhees and must die by a Voorhees, and with this special fucking night sword. It's like, what the fuck is that? Where'd they get this sword out of nowhere, and why is it special?
That he throws the daughter of Pamela Voorhees and he like changes.
Sorry, I got a cold. Sorry, guys, but it's bullshit. I mean, you're adding this whole mythology into it, which makes it a little more cheesy. It all takes away from this badass guy who just won't die and keeps fucking shit up. Yeah. It all just takes away from that. So the whole mythology, and because I don't know if this had anything to do with it or not, but it fell into the hands of New Line. That's who released it. And suddenly, I think we see a lot more hints of like the same kind of filming style or whatever that Freddy used. The whole Jason going from one mouth to the other with that black thing you were just talking about. I think that's very like Freddy-esque in my mind. Because in Freddy they do a lot of like gag, nasty, gross stuff. I mean, of course in Jason there's gag stuff where you're tearing heads off and stuff. But in Freddy it's more like, you know, he's licking your ear. He's throwing up on your face. You know, something like that.
Yeah, even the after they transferred to a different body, the decomposing of the body after it and like it melting into like the ground and.
So, and if you combine that, Freddy has more of a mythology about it.
Yeah.
It resembled, to me, more the Nightmare on Elm Street series.
And even, like, the lights coming out of, like, the body transferring from his body parts into the first Doctor guy. And it was a Freddy-esque kind of feel for it at that point.
So I don't know. That's just, it sort of took, like, on its own, they had good kills.
Yeah.
But besides that, I don't know. It wasn't my favorite.
My favorite kill was in the beginning where he took the T-post. And
oh, God. I think that was everybody's favorite kill.
Right through the girl's torso, and then it uplifted through her head and her torso.
And they, you know, they actually shot that scene. The whole movie had wrapped up, and they were done. And they did some screenings, and New Line, I think it was New Line, wanted them to put in more scenes, and that was one of them. So they totally shot that scene after everything had finished, and they just wanted something super brutal. The people in the scene together were actually dating beforehand.
Before they shot the scene,
had just broken up, and then were called back in to do this massive sex scene together.
Yeah. Which they were like completely naked for.
And it was very awkward. So,
and it brings back, you know, the things we love about Jason. I mean, we know if you have sex, you're going to die no matter what.
Yep.
So we knew they were going to die, but it was
especially unsafe sex because they throw the condom out and he steps on the condom.
Yeah. I didn't even know. I think he threw it inside the tent. I didn't know it made it outside.
I mean, me too. He like lightly tossed it towards the camera, and all of a sudden it's like 12 feet away from the tent.
Yeah, it's like outside the tent in like a thing of pine needles. I'm like, wait, what the hell?
That condom had wings. It took off and flew.
That thing freaking flew.
Yeah.
But tent sex, it's always the best. It kind of reminded me, was it part 5 where, I think it was part 5 where it's raining and the guy's in the tent and then he slashes through the tent and grabs a girl and of course, you know, ultimately smashes her against the tree in the sleeping bag. But it's another tent sex scene, and I guess that wasn't a sex scene, but it was another tent scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was badass murder right there.
And the girl in the scene, you know, went on to be in that TV show Queer as Folk, which I've never watched, but I just saw that as a fact. And so if you guys ever watch that, which maybe you guys haven't,
it's supposed to be
listening
classic.
to this show.
It's supposed to be classic, like six seasons long or something.
I have no idea about that show.
Queer as Folk.
She was in it, and she became more famous that way.
And I thought her body casts looked pretty hot.
Yeah,
too.
They did 2 body casts of her in that sex position, so they could tear it up.
So one of her torn up, her body half like a flower just bloomed, and then just her a cast of her regular body.
Yeah, I couldn't tell what they were explaining. I think they jammed the sign through one body, and that was that shot. And then the next body it was jammed through, and they had pre-cut it to split. So when they pulled it upwards, they sort of manually split it open.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was brutal. I can't believe... really, in that movie, I saw some things I couldn't believe they got away with.
Yeah.
When they were cutting down the previous movies so much. It's bullshit.
Well, yeah, just like the whole... The body's like melting and decomposing after. I'm like, oh, that's pretty gory. And the heads, you know, the heads being smashed together. Those are so fun. They
instant blood everywhere.
Smash the heads together.
Skulls.
Instant blood and skulls. Like,
it was like their faces tore open right when they hit the heads together. That was
like
crazy.
He must have done that really hard and like had a downward motion when he did to rip their flesh off.
So Adam Marcus, the director, he was 23 years old when he directed this movie. Youngest director ever for New Line Cinema at the time. Maybe even still, I'm not sure. But
I think so.
And it was written, not written. Adam, who was the director, he was just out of film school, 23 years old, like I just said. But he had got Best Picture during film school. That's what happens when you use Periscope on the phone.
Periscope phone. That happens.
Yeah. Anyways, So yeah, he had just won Best Picture with a short film in college or in film school, and that was a comedy zombie flick, which ended up being what the hell I just wrote? Oh, My Boyfriend's Back. So he actually wrote and directed a short film version of My Boyfriend's Back, and then it got it got turned into a feature, and just X off on the top there, restart it. It got, sorry, we have Periscope troubles here. We should just probably ditch Periscope since no one watches on it anyways. But yeah, so ended up, My Boyfriend's Back was his movie, but when they actually shot it as a full-length film, they didn't want to use him because he wasn't a seasoned director. So little tidbit for you there. And then another cool thing is that when they are... they go into, so they have those two soldiers watching the door, outside the autopsy of Jason.
Autopsy office, yeah.
And the big one is actually Kane Hodder, so he's playing a normal person in it, and sort of
he's the one that says he ain't nothing but a big pussy anyway.
Yeah, talking about himself.
Yeah, talking about himself, talking shit about himself. Yeah. Which. Why would they have two security guards like armed with guns outside of an autopsy place? Outside dead Jason's place. But still, it's all there for the effect. And Kane Hodder got to appear in a Jason movie, in his own movie as himself and not Jason, which is kind of cool to see that. And
they finally got smart about this one, where they put together a rated R theatrical release, and then right away they also had a director's cut unrated that they did for video.
Yeah.
So we don't hear the horror stories of losing all the original footage like we talked about the last couple movies, where now we'll never know how those were really intended to be. Yeah, now, this one you can. We have the uncut director's cut.
So they're able to keep those bloody over the top gags that the people love and that the creators hate to be cut from. So that's great that they were able to keep that.
But I just thought. Anyways, I don't remember what I was going to say about that, but another cool thing is that at the end, one of the more uncomfortable shots is when the creature goes up the legs.
Well, let's go. So this is the legs of his sister.
Yeah.
So this is the first time we've heard that Jason has a sister, Pamela Voorhees.
Yeah.
In the first 8 films. So that's another thing we have to he has a sister now. I never knew that.
Yeah.
But which is all right. We wouldn't have known that, I guess, unless
I don't know if it's all right. I don't know. Jason's just Jason. He doesn't need all this backstory and mythology
sister
behind him.
And then his sister's daughter that has the little baby. So she's one of the remaining Voorhees too. Yeah. So
yeah, it was his sister. She's dead. She's down there, and you need a Voorhees. He needs to be reborn from a Voorhees. So that scene where he's the little creature running around and he goes right up her vagina. They shot that with a different person than the original actress after the fact, and she didn't even know about it until she was in the movie theater watching that scene. And she said it really, really upset her and was inappropriate and very distasteful. And she has since forgiven, Adam Marcus, but
Sean S. Cunningham too.
But did not like that at all, and thought it was degrading and to her as an actress and all this. So I don't know. She just needs to get real. It's just a fucking horror movie.
Yeah, it's a horror movie, and that stuff's cool, So, but yeah, I'm not telling her, and she sees it. But she was a dead corpse,
Yeah, why not?
Why not? It's the little what'd you call it? The little creature heart demon baby that comes out of Jason.
Yeah,
that thing was kind of weird too.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Just look at that. You have this big badass Jason, but now he's this little fucking rat scurrying around. Fuck that.
And the Jason house, we did see some things in the Jason house that they're back at. Remember what we saw? We saw the Book of the Dead. Just
there, God, I forgot about that till you just mentioned it. Yeah, the Book of the Dead
from Evil Dead
inside of the Voorhees house.
Because that's when Steven, which is played by John D. LeMay, he goes to the Voorhees house and he's looking around and he gets covered with spider webs and stuff and he comes by this mantle and there's the Book of the Dead just sitting there.
They must have paid.
And he flips it through it and It's the exact like.
Oh, it's
print.
the exact same Book of the Dead. They had
Yeah.
to have paid like Tom Sullivan for the rights to use that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
That was just funny how they added that in.
Yeah.
And
Evil Dead peeks its head up in part 9 here.
we usually find some Evil Dead in every movie.
Yeah. Well, this one, it was right there on the screen, blatantly in front of you.
Yeah,
Book of the
yeah.
Dead right there.
Which
So,
we just find little things that no one else usually would have seen. So that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Funny that they had that there too.
And then at the end, of course, we have the whole Freddy glove thing.
Yes.
Which I think is probably wowed a lot of fans in the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would be going psycho too if I
Yeah.
saw that. I'd be like, "Oh my god, Freddy versus Jason!" Think of how big Freddy was at the time, and Jason.
Yeah. Oh God. They were like rivals. They're neck and neck. You know, outdoing each other in the box office, and to see that hand come out of the dirt and grab the Jason mask, just it made me wet my pants a few times.
Oh,
straight.
wow, a few times.
Yeah,
Wow.
a few times. Yeah,
That's a
little
lot.
by little. I don't let it all. I don't let it all out at one time.
How do you?
I just
control
hold it in. I like suck in my stomach and hold it in. You know how you
Wow.
hold in your pee.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Can't stop once I start. It stings.
Yeah.
So
Name that movie.
Sean Cunningham, you were talking about Freddy. He originally was excited to come back to Jason so that they could do a Freddy versus Jason.
Which was the plan after
Yeah.
Jason Goes to Hell?
But it was before doing Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh, yeah, okay,
he
yeah.
was the reason he wanted to rejoin the franchise after only doing the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So that he could potentially work on a Freddy vs. Jason
Yeah.
flick. And it just they don't really go into details on why it wasn't working out. But even though they were under New Line now, they just couldn't make it happen still. And so,
Yeah.
but they were able to sneak in the Freddy glove at the end. And the director Adam Marcus says, he said at the time that, it was sort of like a duh moment. We got to how are we going to end this thing? And it's like, well, we're with New Line. They own the rights to Freddy. Why don't we do this? Why,
Yeah.
duh,
Exactly.
So they did that, and it was
and it was Kane Hodder's hand
wearing the Freddy glove.
wearing the Freddy glove coming out of the dirt.
So
Which that last scene when he's fighting Steven, which was played by John, you can totally tell he could have just killed him the first time, but
Oh, yeah.
they prolonged the fight scene between Jason and Steven because the girl, the daughter of Pamela, which is played by Carrie Keegan, I believe, is getting the knife that fell through the hole downstairs.
Oh, God.
She couldn't reach that fucking
she's trying to
knife.
reach the knife for like 15 minutes while everyone's dying around her.
You're like, dude, your hands are on it.
it's
Get
like,
the fucking
grab the
knife.
fucking knife already. Lay on your stomach if you have to.
And then there
Jeez.
happened to be like a little hole that it fell down through.
Yeah,
So
that was bullshit.
yeah, those are parts of movies that the fans like hate because you love to hate because it's like, come on, just grab it.
Yeah.
And that's why they had to prolong that scene.
But so this one did $7.5 million opening weekend. Was pretty good on the numbers
which
for
was
them.
pretty good for the numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it wasn't a failure or anything.
crowd pleaser. So
Yeah.
good reviews, crowd pleasing.
Well, no, I don't know.
Well, not great. Not
The reviews
It was
weren't
crowd
good.
pleasing, should I say? But the reviews were a little bit different. Yeah.
No, I thought it got a ton of mixed reviews and a lot of backlash from the fans about Jason's not really in it and where are you going with this movie and
Why the hell did you explode Jason in the beginning?
that was
bastards?
a big thing too. Why'd you explode Jason? And the director Adam Marcus talked about to this day how he just gets a lot of people saying how horrible that movie is and what he did to it and all that. But then he does have some people that say that they like it because he went a different direction. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. It's just what you have to deal with as a director, and
Yeah.
you mess with the series, I guess.
Yeah, mixed reviews, and some fans will love it, some fans will hate it, and
I think most fans hated it.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I know some of you guys on the website have said that you like it. So
yeah, and I'll give you credit because it was gory. It had some great effects, great scenes, and
the best little effect was when they he elbowed her or punched her chin right into her mouth. That fat girl.
Oh,
that was funny.
The fat lady that owned the diner
Yeah.
that was like the main.
That was
lady
pretty
there.
cool. That made the whole movie
Yeah,
worth it.
it's like a football, like inverted football dent.
Yeah, into her mouth.
And then
That was pretty cool.
And then her son's arm broke in half too. That was pretty.
Yeah,
awesome.
that was cool.
So Jason was still a badass, and I guess that it was Jason's heart or his evil that was doing that. But we see him in the very beginning because he goes through the panel of Voorhees, and so we see Kane Hodder come out in the very end, the beginning and the end. So I guess we saw him a little bit, but not as much.
Oh, what's that?
Oh my
what's
God.
that sound?
Oh, what is that
Lord.
sound? Oh my God, goodness gracious!
That means it's time for the horror halftime. You can participate in the horror halftime for a chance to win horror freak of the week.
Yes,
I don't have one to announce right now.
Free gear
for this week. This episode won't release till tomorrow night, but also I just haven't seen anyone participate yet in the last week's one. So there's still time. They'll get a day left, but we'll do one
guys, get
this
up there.
week, and you guys better do it. You win some free gear.
Yeah,
So this
who
is
doesn't
what-
want free gear?
I'm going to do the one this week that I almost substituted last week. Last week we had Rob on the show, and we were talking about how much of a tranny Corey Feldman looks like in this documentary that we've been watching. And he does. He looks like a total tranny.
Spray tan and all.
So I want you guys to grab, if you can get the picture of him from this documentary, or like any tranny looking picture of Corey Feldman. I mean, he had like the spray tan, he had like bling on, and he had like a vest, or I don't even know what he was wearing.
I mean, you could probably find a Google
Yeah.
picture of him on the
I
documentary.
want to see the most ridiculous picture of Corey Feldman. And if you throw like some words on it that are funny, that's even better. Like I want the most ridiculous Corey Feldman meme
of
possible.
all time.
And I want you to post it on our Facebook page, facebook.com/cultclassichorror. Or you know what? Any of our social media. Go to Twitter Twitter. Go to Twitter. We're at Cult Horror Show. You can tweet it to us there, or you can go on Instagram at Cult Classic Horror. Tag us in the picture, and if we like it, we'll send you some free shit. Okay, we got cool stuff. We've been sending T-shirts, but we have like keychains and we have
Coffee mugs.
Yeah, we have a bunch of stuff we could send you. So
Good shit, guys.
So definitely participate in that.
Corey Feldman, even as a kid and as an adult, but the adult one was.
You got to get the best trainee picture.
Yeah.
You can find. All right, that concludes the horror halftime.
Yes. And
That means we're moving on to Jason X.
Yes, that concludes Jason Goes to Hell.
Which, oh God, I'm really sorry for you guys out there that maybe like this movie, but I have like nothing good to say about Jason X.
Yeah, it didn't do it for me either.
It was fucking horrible.
Again, there was some cool effects, but other than that,
I mean, the production quality, first of all, was like a sci-fi original movie. You know,
like you go to Sci-Fi Channel. And
yeah,
it's
exactly.
original
Sci-Fi
movie.
Channel original, horrible production quality, which doesn't mean the movie's going to be bad. There's been some decent Sci-Fi Channel production quality movies, you know, but this one it didn't do it for me.
Yeah, and you think it was filmed in 2001, so it was like 8 years later after the 1993 one.
Yeah, well, and what happened? I think it was. Well, basically they did it because they were still waiting to do Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the fuck the deal was, but they still were waiting to do Freddy vs. Jason, and it wasn't coming together.
Nothing was coming together still.
And so they're like, why don't we just do another Jason? So it was almost like, we're not doing anything, let's just do Jason X. And that's what they did, although they did have a $13 million budget to work with. Mm-hmm. So that's nothing to scoff at. I mean, they had some movie money to work with, but I don't know, they just...
And it was, it is still from New Line, so they had the Jason X name. But if you want to count it would be part 10, should I say?
Jason X 10.
Yeah, Jason X. That's right. But yeah, the futuristic thing, it's set in the space final frontier, Star Trek kind of. And the year was 2455. It was 400 years.
It just didn't work.
So.
You had
a lot of the same people. Sean Cunningham produced it along with Noel Cunningham.
Kane Hodder was in it still.
Kane Hodder was Jason again.
So you had some elements there, but overall,
Harry Manfredini was the composer. So there was a little bit of the
but even Kane Hodder admitted that when he first got the script, it was hard for him to take it seriously. Like, is this really what we're doing? I mean, he doesn't want to make it hokey,
Yeah.
And I don't know. They did a pretty decent job of not making it too hokey, but I do think it was a little bit. It was sort of cheesy as fuck.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
And I know they had build a lot of the stuff, and because it's it's all in the future, and they can't just go to like a farmhouse. So it was all like done in the studio per se. But a lot of the stuff did look a little cheesy and CGI and green screen, and and there was only like one outdoor scene that was filmed. In the whole entire thing.
And they talked about how colorful the final version was. If you make a comparison, it ended up looking like Batman Forever. It was real colorful when they were aiming for like the Dark Knight kind of feel. And so they didn't really hit the target. It would have been much more tolerable if it was this dark space horror movie.
Like Event Horizon.
Yeah, exactly. You have Event Horizon, these awesome... I was just trying to think of... Even like Alien or Alien 3.
Yeah.
They're these dark... They pull it off real well. It's real dark. It's real morbid. I was trying to think of that one with Ben Foster that I can't think of the name of the movie. Someone listening to this is yelling it out right now.
Ben Foster. Oh, yeah.
Where they're in the spaceship and they all come out of cryo sleep and...
Oh, yeah. I never saw that, but you told me about it.
God! I'll remember it before we end the show here. Anyways.
But yeah, I wanted more of that. Not so much bright colors and like... I don't want to say like Final Frontier, like Star Trek. I don't want to compare it to that because... but you do see the bright colors and stuff, and we have a slasher Jason film here, and I guess obviously at the same time they were having the Scream films that were being released, and
they had
that was
finished production
for
Jason, and then Scream was released and was widely popular, hugely popular, and so they went back and did some things. And we're like, how can we make this more like Scream? And so that's when they added in some of the cheesier lines and
more of the campiness instead of the spaciness.
I don't know which one's worse, but I don't know. So it was 13 million budget, and they did it while waiting to do Freddy vs. Jason. And then when they wrapped it up, it actually didn't release for like almost 2 years. Yeah,
it was like left on the shelf for like 18 months.
Well, it was Michael DeLuca, who was like president of production or something at New Line, stepped down and left, and he was most of the driving force behind releasing Jason X. And so when he did that, it just sort of got left in limbo and just not released for the next 2 years. And although it did leak out on... Pirate Bay and the internet, and people were downloading it and watching it.
It was one of the most pirated movies during that time.
Yeah. So then when it did release, it just didn't have anything to it. No one gave
because everyone saw it already.
No one cared.
And there wasn't, like you said, the feedback for it was, interstellar piece of crap, I guess, or something.
Yeah. So people didn't like it as we didn't like it. So, you had a new cast of kids, and they did pretty good. But at least Kane Hodder was in it. It was funny to hear the kids say how he was scaring them and stuff. And I guess he actually has a tattoo on his inside of his lip that says "kill" on it.
And I didn't find that out until now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But on his bottom lip, he pulled it back and it says "kill" on it.
Yeah,
and he's this huge guy.
He must, he's a really method actor. He gets into character. You don't want to fuck with him while he's in Jason mode.
That's what some of the actors and actresses were saying, that he was so method that he really took it so serious that you're around him and he's doing the killings and killing you or something, and it's really physical, and it freaks you out.
They did have the cool death where he plunged the girl's face into the cryogenic water or whatever.
Dry ice thing.
Then it froze up and he bashed it on the table. And I guess that was the main shot of the whole movie, the hardest one. And everyone gathered around to watch it. And they had made 10 casts of her face and 10 of her heads. And
that was badass, I must say.
Then it was actually featured on Mythbusters they actually tried to see if that would actually happen. Yeah. And I guess it wouldn't. I guess they busted the myth.
Yep, they busted it. They tried to freeze a head and crush it with like a junkyard car crusher thing, and it didn't work as well as it did in the movie. Well, but Jason's forces are a lot stronger than a car crusher. Yeah,
so Jason could crush any face. So.
So that's so
Mythbusters wasn't taking that into account.
Yeah, for God's sakes, Mythbusters.
Kane Hodder talked about how the suit for the Super Jason at the end,
Uber Jason costume.
Yeah, it was really tough to work with. It was a one-piece suit just surrounding him and couldn't move in it, and it was real tough, but it looked really good.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, it looked really good for as itself, but I mean, as a Jason movie, I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't really dig it.
It was, I mean, I liked, again, how he was kind of deformed when we first saw him. He even had a little more hair in this movie, and you could see like his ears and stuff.
Yeah, well, that was in the part 9.
In Jason X too, you could see, well, part 9 he was more deformed, but
Yeah.
Jason X you could see a little more
Oh,
hair.
yeah, no, you're right. Yeah,
and
he
then
did
you
have
see
the hair
his
sticking
ear,
out. Yeah.
his ear, and like you could see his eye a little bit more, like the actual Kane Hodder even.
Yeah.
But then, and you know, of course, the mask is always on. You know that, like, it even illustrates when the girl tries to take it off, and you see a little glimpse of his face, and then she puts it right back on.
Yep.
So yeah, the new mask, I don't know, like silver plated metal on his face.
It reminded me of Predator.
It did, yeah.
I don't know. It just too much. I didn't like it that much. The mask portion of it.
It wasn't like the badass Jason finds, you know, with his hockey mask so beat up and dirty, and there's an axe mark in it, and it wasn't like that. It's like brand new special mask that you get.
Yeah, I definitely overall, Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell it didn't have the gritty Jason feel that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have the badass Jason. You know, the part 9 took it to the point where he's not even a person, he's just this entity, and I don't like that at all. And then Jason X took it to the point where, they cleaned him up, and he's this like metallic robot from space.
Yeah. His eyes
look
look pretty freaky, and he has those red contacts on.
Yeah.
But it's still, like, I mean, we see him being a badass in all the movies. I mean, I think our favorites. I mean, the first one, of course, is one of my favorites, and then I was even saying like part 5, 6, and 7 were up there for being my faves. But yeah, you didn't see that as much in. You don't see him at all in Jason Goes to Hell, and then this Jason X was still badass when he had his regular costume on, you know, his regular hockey mask on and killing all those people. But it was the whole space thing. Yeah, it just kind of didn't do it for me either. And then when he goes back and the hypergenics thing that they did when they take him back to Crystal Lake, and there's those girls there that's smoking a joint.
You mean the hypergenics
or whatever it's called, hyper reality. Yeah, when the computer lady or the droid puts him back in time, and so that was kind of
not just puts him in virtual reality.
Yeah, virtual reality.
Time
Yeah. So that was kind of funny.
So yeah, it was all around a dud.
Saw some boobies though in both.
Yep, some boobies.
No crapping and wiping.
Without wiping
in both of them. Kind of.
Although there was a really short pee in the 9th one.
Oh yeah, yes.
The friends are having sex, or no, the lady who's having sex goes out to pee and gets the condom.
Yeah, that's right.
And she like squats to pee, and she squats for like 2 seconds.
2 seconds, and
you hear a little bit. Yeah,
you hear a little. Psst.
She squats. It's like, and then she stands up.
Yeah,
like damn, she really didn't have to pee. So, yeah, well, that wraps it up.
Yeah, I think so. Other than that, I mean, I guess one more fact: Todd Farmer wrote Jason X, and Todd Farmer played Dallas in the movie Jason X as well, the bald guy that gets his head punched off during the movie theater, the video game scene, and then of course he gets his face smashed into the wall,
chopped off in the video scene. Yeah.
But yeah, so he wrote it. Funny enough, and
his stunt double broke his nose during that.
Yeah,
shooting that scene actually
during the face smash scene. I remember.
So,
but at the box office, all time was 16.9 million for the release.
For the whole time it was in theaters.
For the whole time it was in theaters.
Not very good.
Yeah, not very good, especially for being released in 2002, because it was released, 18 months prolonged. Yeah. So it was released in 2002. And in that time, movies didn't make more than opposed to 1982.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, that wraps it up. Like I said, we're going to extend Friday the 13th. We're going to cover Freddy vs. Jason and the 2009 Friday the 13th next week, even though it is the first week of April. And then we'll use the rest of April to talk about our favorite George A. Romero movies.
Yes.
So yeah, thanks for joining us, you guys. Obviously, find us at cultclassichorror.com. If you haven't yet, download us on iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. We'd love you forever.
Love you long time.
And yeah, otherwise we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys. Rock out.
Don't you blame the movies. Movies don't create psychos. Movies make psychos more creative.
Oh, yes. There will be blood.